Just moments from now, our president is going to come to the podium and try and distract us again from the real issues like the border, like Afghanistan, like prices, like COVID and everything. He's going to use COVID. We outlined some of the things he's going to talk about. We'll get to that in a little bit. But I want to bring back someone who we had to cut off last time. Last Friday, we were talking to Dr. Stephen Hatfill about vaccines and why they may actually be causing more variants of the virus rather than helping. We had to cut off because we had to go to President Biden and we didn't get a chance to come back to him. And I will tell you, folks, you guys were ticked off. You guys hit me up all over the place on the phone number I left, on email. I want to bring in Dr. Stephen Hatfill. He's back with us to talk about these vaccines. Tell us, doctor, you don't think these vaccines are helping in any way, shape, or form, huh?
They're helping some people, I bet. The problem is that these vaccines, the virus that they're directed against no longer exists. It's mutated away.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And sir, I had mentioned that my doctor, I have antibodies, and I asked my doctor, and he said, well, why don't you get at least one in the shot so that you can close close a loop on the virus to make sure that there's no backdoor into the virus, and the vaccine would help do that. And you say that's not accurate.
No, and it's not your doctor's fault. There's been such obstruction with the actual data. The family practitioners getting hit very hard with this. 10, 15-hour days, they go home, they don't have time to keep up with the literature. If you're given the current vaccine, one of the current vaccines, there's a small chance that you can develop very serious side effects, and there's an even smaller chance you can die.
So let me ask you this, and I'll play devil's advocate here. I got the shot because I wanted to, not because I thought I should or because my doctor told me I should, and I did. Yeah. Okay, do it if you want, not because they tell you to. But let me play a little devil's advocate here. Of the new infections, now we're seeing infections spike even higher than a year ago when we were all panicking, shutting down economies. It's spiking, but of the new infections, a vast majority of them are people who were not vaccinated. True?
No, not in the practice we're seeing, and Dr. McCulloch is seeing, and a number of us are seeing. The majority of the cases are in fully vaccinated. The problem with this is that neither the CDC or the FDA, who's supposed to be tracking adverse vaccine effects, have any idea what the true numbers are. They've said this in a letter to Pfizer, that Pfizer is now responsible for tracking adverse vaccine events when the new vaccine comes out. The new vaccine is just a rehash of the old vaccine.
So do you think what they're up to right now, and now we're talking booster and 2 shots and the booster and the second booster, I think Israel's up to 4 boosters or 4 shots now. Do you think this is all just a cycle? Is it a money cycle? Is it a money politics cycle? Is that what this is all about?
Yeah, I don't want to believe it, but that's what the facts lead to. The old vaccines are driving the development of new mutations that are vaccine resistant. So
let's explain that a little bit. So we're taking a man-made it's not even a vaccination, a man-made injection, and we're teaching the virus to be smarter than it by mutating into something that won't help against, and so the virus is continuing to mutate. So how do we achieve herd immunity if it's not through vaccinations or whatever we're using, mRNA?
It will occur naturally and should have occurred. I think the vaccines are interfering with our herd immunity. If you remember, around April, May, June, it was estimated New York City had 20% of the people had antibodies. They'd had a mild exposure. The immune system did what it was supposed to do. Now you're being given a vaccine for one protein, one viral protein only, and you're telling the immune system this is the most important thing that you can do is this one protein. I think we're losing cross-reactivity, and it's been demonstrated now. If you survive a natural infection, your immunity is against a number of different viral proteins, COVID virus proteins, and it's anywhere from 5 to 20% better than the immunity provided by the vaccines.
So, doctor, you're a biomedical, bioengineer, let's call it that way. The way this virus is acting, would you say, if I said I believe this was a likely a naturally occurring virus that in a Chinese lab was accelerated, gain of function acceleration. But it begs the question, how did this virus become so potent?
We don't have enough data now. For a long time, the thought was that what's called the furin cleavage site couldn't have evolved naturally in these viruses, and we now find several examples where it did. On the alternate side, China has been totally obstructive. There's evidence that the outbreak occurred weeks before they admitted. They broke the international health regulations that they signed on to when they joined the WHO. And it's been nothing but obstruction from day one.
So you're the doctor in the room. What do you think happened?
We can't say with any certainty.
Okay, let me do this. Is it likely, and this Wuhan lab had been known for bioweapons research, is it likely they're accelerating this virus to turn it into some sort of bioweapon?
They weren't known for bioweapons research. There was a virology institute, and these things are dual purpose. The military can come in the old days. The United States had an offensive program, and they would come in and look over civilian scientists' shoulders.
Okay. So let me ask you one more question then. What the hell is our government financing a Chinese experiment that may or may not end up being a Chinese bioweapon?
Yeah. That's not really bright, is it? When they have a recognized biological weapons program, offensive, and have had for at least 20 years, that's really not the smart thing to do. We're going to give them millions of dollars for dual-use applications to biological warfare. State Department have lost their ever-loving minds, and so is the NIH.
And guess who was signing some of those checks at the NIH?
I think it was our friend Lord Fauci.
Lord Fauci, Dr. Anthony Fauci signing the checks that sent millions of dollars to a Chinese lab that may or may not have been accelerating a deadly virus for the use of bioweaponry for the Chinese.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave it there because you just can't make some of this stuff up, folks.
No, you can't make this up. It's unbelievable.
Stephen Hatfield, thank you for joining us.
Unbelievable.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
All right, coming up,